Alison Boyle is a Preston-born author who for many years has worked as a writer, editor and publisher. In August 2012, I attended the launch of her novel From Pakistan to Preston at the Museum of Lancashire, in which Alison teamed up with Father Terry to write a story set in the Guild year of 1972. For 33 years from the age of 17 until the factory closed in September 1980, Terry Boyle worked in the laboratory of Courtaulds Red Scar Viscose factory in Preston. Many people came to England to work in the artificial silk industry from countries such as India, Pakistan, Belgium, Lithuania, Poland, Ukraine and West Indies. Terry's knowledge of the factory, its working ways and the science of artificial silk were essential for the telling of the story of those characters who were living in Preston and working at Courtaulds. In September 2013, I caught up with Alison once again at her old school, the former Lark Hill Convent School, now Newman College. Alison was here to deliver a narrative writing workshop to Year 12 students, and I was invited along to join in and then talk with Alison again 12 months after the launch of From Pakistan to Preston.
And so this is what was produced at the factory. And my dad and my mum worked in the laboratory where they created these amazing colours, and they gave them names like shamrock or curry or skin tone. But what I was interested in was telling the story of that factory, which was there for about 70 years. And it's not about cotton, it's about this artificial silk.
You just said that you're very good at beginnings and endings, but not the bit in between.
Yeah.
What's your first name?
Amber.
Amber. Are we ever going to see your name on the front of a novel with that talent?
Probably not. I do more of the artwork.
We've got to work on the middle bit.
Yeah.
Right, so what's your beginnings and endings that you've got today? Do you want to share them with us?
Well, the one I've got at the moment is just like what she's asked us to write, so everything will be okay, they said. Well, they were wrong. Yes, you meet new people, but they aren't always people you can trust. You aren't always safe. My name is Sarah, and I am the voice lost in mythology. The forbidden story, just as Pandora wasn't meant to open that box. Just as Eve was never meant to eat that apple. Labelled as sin, I am your nightmares. And I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be the villain.
That sounds very polished to me. Does it to you? I think that something like this today, Alison's thoughts on narrative, can help you fill in those bits in the middle, because that was very polished, and I think that just with a little bit of guidance you could find a way through to write something really good. You say hear, hear. Nods don't come out very well on radio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've taken English language and I've taken English literature, and I think I'm just adapting to them.
But writing isn't just fiction, is it? Writing, as you said, could be screenplay, could be poetry, could be extended poetry, could be a play for the theatre, could be a radio script.
Well, you do drama, don't you?
Right.
Well, my uncle did drama at university, and he said that like screenplay writing, he said he enjoyed that most.
Right. We spoke earlier, didn't we?
We did indeed.
What are you taking away from the workshop that you've just been to aid your writing?
To actually write more. That's really enhanced my writing ability, I think.
So has it given you some structures to hang your writing on?
Oh yeah.
And some tricks to go with?
Definitely.
Right, so it's Robin.
Yep.
And we're looking for your books on the shelves in 10 years' time.
Oh, don't worry, they'll be there.
Nice to meet you, thank you. Published in time for the Guild. There was a big book launch 12 months ago where we met at the Museum of Lancashire. What sort of 12 months has it been? First of all, linked to the book, but secondly for you with other things that you've been doing.
Yeah, so really interesting link to the book. Lots of people who've responded to it, written reviews or just spoken to us about it. One of the major things, I think, for sharing the story was taking part in various mellas in the Northwest. So what we've done is practical workshops to make parandas, which are hair decorations with tassels on them. So I would say from a personal point of view, what I've done is learnt some more practical skills. I already was completely obsessed by making tassels and doing crafts since I was a child. So it's all along part of the same journey.
So the book has opened doors into the culture of the people in the story.
Yes.
And you're now taking your story and those crafts
exactly.
to the millers.
So in Manchester Mela we had a stand which was a paranda making workshop stand, and we had people from the age of perhaps 5 up to about 80 who were taking part in making these parandas, and I spoke to a lot of elders in South Asian families who were advising about their techniques and how to put it in the hair afterwards.
I saw you also at an event where you were talking to people who worked at Courtaulds. So your story was about life in the 70s in the Courtaulds factory in Preston, no longer there, but it's obviously hit lots of people who were there and experienced that life. And what's their reaction been like?
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting one, that, because we know there are many more people who were either directly working there or whose families were, so perhaps parents, aunties, uncles. And we are planning a new project which will tell some more of those stories.
You've just done a narrative writing workshop with Year 12 students at Newman, Larkhill, your old school. And in your introduction, you explained to them how your past and the setting of where you lived gave you ideas for the story, and encouraged them to look into their lives and their settings.
One girl was asking what you always hear every time you do a school visit, where do you get your ideas from?
Yeah.
And she asked it in a very sophisticated way, but they're all around you, right? The ideas. Some of it's from research, it might be just a photograph, it might be a painting, it might be just talking to your family.
You said something about being an observer.
Yeah.
Peter Kay does that with his comedy.
Yeah.
And it's not eavesdropping, it's observing, isn't it? And you can't write fact. Fact is stranger than fiction, is that right?
I think it often is. Certainly there were some incidents that I nearly wrote into the book, and I just thought, actually, they sound pretty unbelievable. And of course,
And they were real.
They were real, but you can write a plot which makes them authentic, which gives them a place. But my particular story, which I was doing with my dad, it wasn't a place for it. But it's not to say that there won't be a place for it, because if it's a really good idea, and you've got the time and the commitment, there's a place for good ideas.